Hey friends, welcome back to Planmas Day 20. Today I thought I would talk to you guys about how I plan my goals or how I map out my goals, and then also how I use my planners to work towards my goals. I'm going to try to explain this in a way that makes sense. I'm not going to share like each individual goal. I'm a believer in I do share my goals on my YouTube, but there are some goals that I hold very near and dear to my heart that I don't share with the world because those are very personal to me. I kind of was like scribbling on some paper, talking about things, or not talking about things, but kind of like sorting through my thoughts so that this would be like a video that maybe you guys could find value in. So I guess when I think about setting annual goals, the first thing I like to remember and to tell myself is not every goal that I have in life can be achieved in a year. And so it's like I think about my goals and types of goals, right? And so, when I look at goals from the mindset of like they're short term, medium term, or long term. And I have it like very messily scribbled out that I consider short-term goals to be goals that I believe that I can achieve within a year. I believe medium-term goals are anything that can be accomplished within 5 years. And I believe long-term goals take about 5 or more years to achieve. And so in a lot of areas of my life, I have long-term goals, I have medium-term goals, and I have short-term goals. So I am a big fan of SMART goals. If you guys are familiar with SMART goals, I use them in, my professional practice. I use them in my personal life as well. So SMART goals it's an acronym for a type of goal. I feel like probably most people are familiar, but it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and it's time specific basically. And so when I'm looking at setting goals, I try to keep the idea of SMART goals in my mind. Okay. And then I also want to note that typically for the past several years, I have done what is considered to be a word of the year. I have decided moving into 2025, I'm going to try something a little bit different, and I am going to do a word for each quarter because my word of the year for 2024 was flourish. And while I feel like there were areas in which I did flourish and a lot of things, that I was working towards things, there were also times where I was so busy that I just was in survival mode and things like that. And it wasn't relevant to the season of life I was in. So I'm starting Q1 and my word is going to be recover for quarter one. And I think what I would like to do is I would like to set annual goals this year and then break them down into quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily things that I can do. And I'll kind of explain how I intend or how I already use my planner to help me with these goals. I'm a big fan of the mind mapping, y'all. I really am. And so when I'm looking at setting goals, I'm looking at goals from the perspective of either roles or areas in my life in which I want to improve on or I want to grow in. And that's just like the basic and simple question, right? And so what I will do is I kind of like go through areas of life. So professional, I have relationships, right? And then there are sub areas within my relationships because I have my children, my husband, family, typically extended. I'm not considering because each other members of my family that live in my house have their own category, and then friendships. Health is an important area of my life. Financial is another important area of my life. Content and YouTube, I do have goals for this channel and the things I put out. And then anything personal. And personal a lot of times has to do with like, I do have health goals, but I also have like personal goals that I want to reach myself. So those are the, 6 areas that I typically indicate every year within my life in which I'm going to set a goal. Now, every year I may have, small goals that will help me reach my medium or longer term goals, right? And that's kind of like how I break it down. And so when I'm going through and thinking about the goals that I want to set in my life, I'm asking myself a lot of questions in my head, and I often journal about these things. And for me to identify these categories in my life, I ask myself, like, what are my core values? Like, what do I value most in life? That's not, materialistic or anything like that, but like my core values of who I am as a person. And a lot of times these are the areas that will come up for me. And then I ask myself, like, what is important? Like, what is important to me? How am I doing? I'm evaluating myself. How am I doing in each of these areas of my life? Have I established good habits and routines for these areas in my life? Those are things that I've done. Like in 2022, I started back on my health journey because I used to be very active and work out, and then the pandemic happened and in life, right? So 2022, I started working on building good, healthy habits, going to the gym, drinking my water, all of that. So I feel like I'm in a maintenance phase as far as like my health goes, but there are goals that I want to reach in 2024. And so I'll have to map those out. Now, I had goals in goals I want to reach in 2025. I had 3 goals in 2024 as it related to like gym, for example. So like with health, like I have gym, I have self-care, like these are all things, my mental health. These are like subcategories, right? So like I have very specific gym goals, 3 to be exact. I wanted to be able to hit 100 floors on the Stairmaster, did it. Wanted to be able to leg press 300 pounds, did it, exceeded it. Wanted to be able to deadlift 300 pounds, accomplished. Very specific health goals. But in order for me to attain those goals, I had to set smaller goals of I need to schedule my workouts by using my planner. I need to be in the gym X amount of days a week. I need to follow this plan. I need to add 5 pounds a week to, increase my lifts. So that's kind of like what I do. Maybe the best way to explain that is like I'll set the goal and then I'm working backwards, right? So like if my year-end goal was to hit those lifts or to hit those milestones in the gym, let's take it back. How am I getting there? Does that make sense? So that's kind of like how I set that up. It's the same with like my professional. I want to sit for my clinical exam. So I have a list of things that I need to accomplish before I am able to do that. But also financial kind of runs into that because I also need to, I think it's like $400 for me to sit for that clinical exam. So I need to make sure I'm ready because I don't want to pay $400 more than once. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that. So yeah, so how am I working towards those goals? I'm setting timelines. I am setting up trackers in my planners. So I'm planning out these things, right? So one of the things that I'm doing to help me right now to prepare for that clinical exam is I'm doing supervision. I'm doing supervision with a colleague of mine, or someone that she supervised me a long time ago, but I just absolutely adore her. She is so knowledgeable in the field of social work and a rock star. So she does supervision with me and one of my colleagues twice a month so that I can gain some knowledge from her. How am I reaching my health goals? I'm scheduling my workouts. Do they always work out? No, I didn't go to the gym yesterday, but that's okay. I give myself grace. I forgive myself, but I'm also tracking things here. This may not be the greatest example, for health goals because I did move into a health planner to track my progress with my health and how am I doing and all of that. But I do track things, and these are things that become habit for me. So that's how I use my planners, honestly, to track my goal progress. Is in order for me to reach my goals, I got to have good habits. Like, I think I have to be willing to like do things regularly to get really good at it. Repetition, right? Repetition. I very much subscribe to Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality that like if I'm not the greatest, I'll do it the most until I'm the greatest. You know what I mean? I think repetition, reps, getting in those reps makes a huge, huge difference. And that's basically what I'll do. So I take these categories of life, and then I'm going to journal about it. I'm going to write about it. I'm probably going to use one of my notebooks, and I'm going to process through them. And then from there, I'll have like my goals written down. So I have places where I have my medium and long-term goals set up, because usually the annual goals that I set support these goals. And so I'm still working towards these long and medium term goals, but I'm doing it by setting annual goals. I really hope that made sense for you guys. And again, I'm explaining how my brain works in these situations. So I will sit down over, and I think about this, and no, y'all, and this is me being honest, is a lot of these goals are not going to be ready to go January 1st. I don't think that January 1st is like magic and I'm going to achieve, I'm going to have everything together. I'm going to have all my goals set. You don't have to have your goals set January 1st. I want to be thinking about it and really like deciding what I want my goals to be, like moving into the new year and what I hope to achieve in a year. But my goals aren't going to be set. Usually I don't have my goals set until February, like unless like it's already in my mind, I've already mapped it out. And also if I don't achieve the goal, I don't beat myself up about it, because as long as like I'm trying my best and I'm working towards it, right? That's the important thing. I will like write out, once I get this where I want it to be and how I want it to look, I'll write out my goals. It's pretty simple. And I just think it's helpful for me to know what I want to achieve so I can work backwards and then try to have daily habits. My husband and I often have these conversations about, just doing a little bit of something every day. A little bit of something every day to work towards your goals. And then if you have a day where you don't do anything, it's fine, because consistency is what matters, right? And consistency doesn't mean every day, it means regularly. And so that's why I think it's important to like know what your core values are, what you value, because if you don't know what you value in life, it's going to be hard for you to figure out what your goals are. You know what I mean? Like what you're working towards, because like goals are very personal to each person. And like some people, like I feel like it was like 2023. Like honestly, like I hit like a really rough patch in 2023, and it was just like, my goal was like go to the gym and get up every day and make my bed, like, and be present with my family. And those were my goals in 2023. And that's cool, right? Last year, I was very focused, or this year, the year's not over, y'all. 2024 was the year in which I wanted to really dive into getting strong and healthy. And I feel like I've done that, so I feel like I have good habits in these areas. Good things I do on a consistent basis that help me work towards these goals. I can improve here. This is where I can improve. I've kind of not been as intentional with this, and so I'm aware, and I need to put my systems back in place to help me with that, my routines, all of that. And I'm trying. I'm not waiting till January 1st. I'm trying now. So there are other areas that I feel like I have really good routines, for the most part, and I'll continue to try to, make those routines better. That's why if you guys see on my weeklies and my weeks, spending is always spending is like, am I updating my spending? Am I evaluating my spending? That's something I want to try to do daily. I fall off sometimes, y'all, not gonna lie. So anyway, God, I hope that made sense, because I feel like I just rambled for a long time about goals. But anyway, that's how I set goals. That's just what works for me. And I don't do too much, like, if that makes sense. Like, I don't like set these ridiculous goals that I know I'm not going to achieve within a year, because then it's like, that's discouraging, right? So like I said, I was very specific, like with my gym goals, and it was to hit things I could like measure. So it was like once I hit 300 pounds on deadlift, I was like, look at me go. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that that's something. Like, we got to be realistic, right? Realistic about what our goals look like. Like, I'm not going to have $5 million saved by the end of 2025. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But unless I'm winning that Powerball, that ain't gonna happen, okay? You know, that's all I'm saying. And we don't have Powerball in Alabama. I'd have to drive to Mississippi. Anyway, I can't take myself serious. Okay, so, but yes, that is like how I set goals. And I'll be doing this, like, again, I'll be working on this, and I'll have a bunch of like pieces of copy paper laid around until I figure out what my goals are and what is important to me for the upcoming year. Yeah. Okay. So thanks for watching. I will say, I would be curious to know what your goals are, because I feel like goals are very personal, right? And like, there are some people that are like, I don't do that. And that's cool. Like, so I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on setting goals? Like, do you feel like they are helpful to you, or do you feel like they are not helpful? Do you feel like they add stress to your life because maybe like you're hard on yourself? I used to be really hard on myself. Like, if I didn't reach my goals, or if I wasn't like perfection, I'm a recovering perfectionist and people pleaser. You know what I mean? So like, I used to be really down on myself, and then it was like an all or nothing, like, I suck at this, I'm never going to do it. And it's like, that's not helpful to me. So I've really worked on a lot of mindset shifts in my life. And I have found that with those mindset shifts, that's a mouthful, say that 3 times. It has helped me understand more about how I can achieve goals. Because I'm not so hard on myself. I challenge those cognitive distortions I will often have, because we are our own worst critics. I really believe that a lot of times. And it's hard. See, random. Okay, so yeah, let me know what y'all think about goal setting, how y'all feel about it. Is that a thing that you do every year, every quarter? You're like, no, not my thing. I'm just curious. I'd like to have a conversation about it. Okay, thank y'all for joining me. I hope this video is not too random and rambly, and you kind of see how my planners help me with my goals. I hope that made sense. But yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. I hope you have a fabulous day. Bye, friends.